TaxAct understands you haven't memorized the tax code. That's why TaxAct has live experts to help. TaxAct can even do it for you if you prefer. It's the easiest way to know you're doing it right. Well, other than going back to college and obtaining a bachelor's degree in accounting with a minor in finance, then interning somewhere and becoming fluent in all tax forms. But that might be hard to accomplish before tax day. So maybe just stick with TaxAct. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi. Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Meantime, speaking of forgotten, well, it seems like the media forgets that their job is to be fair to everybody and to pursue the truth and do really what's best for America. I want to play this exchange. This is Katie Couric, who was talking to Rand Paul, and listen to just like there was nothing good, it seems, that ICE could do or that law enforcement could do. Listen to this exchange with Katie Couric and Rand Paul going back out. Rand Paul said X amount of these people are horrible, criminal, violent individuals that are being taken off the street. Some of them the worst of the worst of the worst. And yet that wasn't good enough for Katie Couric. Listen to this.
Less than 14% of nearly 400,000 immigrants arrested by ICE in President Trump's first year back in the White House had charges or convictions for violent criminal offenses, according to an internal Department of Homeland Security document obtained by CBS News. So isn't all this talk about ridding the country of violent criminals a massive overstatement? If less than 14%, again, of the 400,000 immigrants being arrested are had charges or convictions for violent criminal offenses?
Well, I think the facts make a difference, and so that's one of the questions we will ask. And so when you come to Minneapolis, if they have a policy that says, oh, we're not going to turn over from our jails nonviolent prisoners, people who are, I don't know why you're in prison if you're nonviolent, but maybe you have a drug crime that's a nonviolent.
I think there are plenty of nonviolent people in prison.
But the thing is that's not their policy. Their policy is we will turn no one over. So you can be, you beat somebody half to death, you get an assault charge, and you're in jail for a couple years, and somehow you're getting out on parole, and you're not going to be turned over and you're illegal. I've got a problem with that, and so do probably most independents and Democrats. But that's what we have to ascertain. And the thing is that's not the policy of Mayor Fry. He did not come forward and say, we're not going to turn over nonviolent prisoners. He just simply said, we're not going to cooperate at all. And if you do cooperate, and this is Ellison's edict to them, it's actually against the law for you to cooperate. So if you happen to have a Republican county and a Republican judge who wants to turn over people in jail once their term has expired to be deported, they've actually made that illegal. And so we should have a debate in our country whether that's advisable. And I think most people are in the middle. I think most people actually hate what the use of force that they saw with Alexander Preddy. But I think if you ask them, if a guy's committed rape and he's in prison and he's going to get out, do you want him deported? I think people would say, hell yes, he ought to be deported. But
having said that, though, what about the 14%? Such a low percentage of 400,000 people.
If your daughter gets raped by the guy that gets back out and he's one of the 14%, I don't think you're going to quibble about whether it's 14 or 64. What I'm saying is, if you're not going to,
who are not guilty,
if you're not going to turn over anybody, then that's 0%. I don't think the percentage, it makes a halfway argument to how much effort we have. But if Minnesota's not going to turn over anybody, the whole argument, whether it's 14 or 86, doesn't mean anything. So if they're not turning over anybody, then inevitably there are many emotional cases. You know, the Lake and Riley case, if a guy that had been arrested should have been deported. He was a thug. He was arrested multiple times up in New York. The government paid to send this thug to look for a job in Atlanta. It was almost like, we'll give you a bus ticket so your crime committing person we'll send you to some other state. But to Lake and Riley's family, it was a big deal, and it is a big deal to people who care about what happened to her, that if that person had been deported. Now, you might tell me that person's an anomaly. He's only 1 in 100. But up in Lake and Riley's family, I don't care if it's 1 in 100. The 1 in 100 people who are violent, if that's a number, or if it's 14 in 100, We want them deported. And look, you're looking at someone who's moderate on this issue. I'm not. I don't appreciate what they're doing. I don't like the crowd control, but I do want violent people who are in prison detained and given over to ICE. And if Minnesota's not doing that, they're part of the problem.
I should point out, Senator Paul, that Laken Riley's father has cautioned lawmakers on both sides of the aisle to refrain from using her death as a political wedge.
No matter what he said, and you even hear it, he's not even happy with some of the tactics by ICE, but I thought his comments were very compelling, and still Katie Couric would have none of it.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Tap the banner to learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.